Ah, the British electoral system. Decisive, strong, simple to use and effective. The winner wins. Well, apart from years like the election of 1951 when the Labour Party got the most votes and the Conservatives won the election. But, well, we're not talking about that today, we're talking about AV. So it's this idea that AV will give us many more hung parliaments. It's true, we are headed for more hung parliaments, but not really because of AV. It's because of how we vote. If we look at the years 1910 to 1929, the British had 7 general elections. 5 of them ended up in hung parliaments, and that was under good old first past the post, always get a decisive result. And those hung parliaments were caused by our own selfishness. We insisted on voting for parties outside the big two. For example, many of us started voting for this little fringe party called the Labour Party. As a result, the vote was all split and we had hung parliaments time after time. If we just voted for Conservatives or Labour, the electoral system might deliver, like it did in 1951, where 97% of us voted for the Conservative or the Labour Party, and there was a clear winner, sort of. But in the 2010 general election, 65% of us voted for the Conservatives and Labour. Everyone else voted for someone else. And as a result, you got a hung parliament. So thanks to our own selfishness, we're going to end up with more hung parliaments. That's a complete disaster. I mean, look what hung parliaments have done for us in the past. I mean, during the 19-teens and 20s, when we had hung parliaments regularly, the government was presiding over the largest empire in the history of the world. It won the First World War and it laid the foundations of the welfare state. What a nightmare. Ah, the mother of all parliaments, home to the oldest and greatest democracy in the world. How can you improve on perfection? Well, one Prime Minister who thought the British system was perfect was the Duke of Wellington. That was nearly 200 years ago. He said he couldn't imagine a more perfect system. And that was a time when women couldn't vote, nor could the vast majority of the people that actually lived in Britain. And there was one famous constituency which had 2 voters and sent 2 MPs to Parliament. The fact is, contrary to what people tell you, we Brits have been constantly tweaking our constitution. It's very reactive. We've introduced numerous bills to enfranchise more and more of the population. We've also cracked down on multiple voting. Until 1948, you were able to vote in more than one seat if you're a university graduate or a property owner. The fact is, our constitution is always changing, and there's no reason it can't change to accommodate our new desire to choose between more than 2 parties. AV is an improvement. It's a natural evolution. It's going to give us a more modern, fairer and sophisticated way of electing our MPs. And I'm sick to death of everyone telling us that we're too stupid to understand how to put a second and third preference down. The government are perfectly happy to send out massive forms when it comes to tax or getting a passport. Suddenly, we can't count to 3. Vote yes to fairer votes on May the 5th.